Hello to you, blessings and good day. I hope that you are doing well. I hope this video meets you well. I'm doing my first outdoor recording in a long time, in months. We are about to move into spring, and I am, for anybody who may be discovering me for the first time, my name is Letitia. I am Letitia. I'm a 42-year-old millennial, homeschooling, home managing mom of 5 children, an immigrant living in the US. I am an INFJ, empath. I am an agnostic, progressive, idealist, intuitive, energy reading, young woman navigating this crazy timeline that we are in and working on coming out on the other side victorious. We are, as you would know, unless you live under some kind of special rock, you would know that we are experiencing a shift. And if you are an online person, you would have been hearing various descriptions and various interpretations and various perspectives on that. You know, like myself, you have been hearing all aspects of the perspective of the shift that we're going through. And what I do is I just add my little 2 cents and I bring you into my perspective and my world. And I do think that everybody's perspective has value. And my perspective, I think, is uniquely mine. Like I said in the previous description that I just shared with you, I am many things. I am a very in tune person. I am in tune with my inner self. I'm in tune with the world around me. I absorb the energy around me. I absorb information. I process. I think a lot. I have mental downloads. I have spiritual uploads. And I try my best as I can, to share my perspective and my downloads verbally. I try to communicate it. Now, communicating my perspective and my mental and spiritual, my spiritual uploads and my mental downloads it takes practice. And I've been doing it for like almost 5 years. And I've gotten so much better at it. You know, I have struggled, with self-doubt. And I ask myself questions. I wonder, if this is the right way to do it, if I should do it this way, if I should do it that way. Why is my audience not bigger? Why am I not reaching enough people? I ask a lot of questions. But the truth is, I can honestly only do it the way that I have been doing it, because that's the way I've been doing it. That's the way that feels natural to me right now. I progress and eventually things shift and I start doing things a little differently. I move from one stage of growth to another, one level to the next. But the world has gone nuts. The world as you perceive it on the internet, on social media, as you hear it in news, it's gone crazy. I just got up early and I spent a little time on Blue Sky, because that's where I get to read the pulse of the people, at least the people that are on Blue Sky, mostly people like myself who are liberal minded, who are progressive minded, who are empathetic people, who don't want to see the world destroyed by the worst of humankind, by the ugliness and the darkness of humanity. They don't want to see it controlled by the darkness and the people, the human vessels that are trying to take control right now. And, from being on Blue Sky is where I find out some of the things that are going on. I also find out from writers on Substack. That's where I find out what's going on. I also get headlines on my phone. I sign up for the Ground News app, so I get Ground News notifications, and every once in a while I get notifications from other places. I don't even know why. I don't know why. Like, maybe it's from Google sending me news feeds and news headlines. And then I sometimes choose something to read, from those sources of information. I pick something to read, you know, and I see a lot of Substack titles of writings from other people that I'm interested in. I see a lot of videos with topics that I'm interested in. I see a lot of people put out their perspective, their work, their how they're perceiving the world, looking at it from the outside or from the inside, and sharing their perspective on it. And for me, I choose. I feel like I choose whoever I choose to listen to or read or whatever on that given day. But I try to use my time intentionally. you know I try to, what my main focus is in this craziness and this madness in which I don't have any control over. I don't even think that my audience is big enough that I can move the pulse of the collective. I can move the collective in a substantial way. So accepting that, I have come to accept it and realize that what I need to do, and this is my advice to everybody, is to work on your world, you know? And for me, I don't work on my world in such a way without the awareness of what is happening around me. I incorporate that awareness of what is happening around me. I listen to people who are out there in the streets, who are in the middle of it, who have the big audience, who is trying to be courageous and be brave. Like, there is a guy that I have been following since TikTok, since mostly after Trump won the election. He came on my radar. Cliff Cash, Cliff Cash comedy. I was listening to him before a little bit, but he came on my radar a little bit more because he was working so hard to get some sort of movement in terms of not even letting DJT take that seat in the first place. He was trying to tell us, which I already knew, and this is what he became. He was on my radar because a lot of people just came to accept it and start gaslighting us into shutting up and just accepting it and becoming the opposition of the fascism, the opposition of the fascists. Let him take the seat, let him become president, let him do all the things, but we'll just be opposition now. So I started to pay attention to people who were like, no, something is off about this election. Something is off about these results. We got to stop this man from taking a seat because he's a Russian asset. I knew it. I knew it then. I knew it before, but I knew it even more after. And I agreed. We shouldn't have let him get there in the first place. I'm absolutely, because I was in the camp of believing that Biden had a plan and he had something going on behind the scenes, and that Lotus Queen Kamala Harris had a plan and she had something going on behind the scenes, and there were people behind the scenes doing stuff. I still find it hard to believe that. I still cannot believe that there weren't. It baffles me that they went to his inauguration. It baffles me that they try to be respectful. It baffles me about the decorum stuff. It baffles me about the no objections on January 6th. And now it even baffles me about some of the Democrats that are just, I don't know. Hakeem Jeffries is baffling me. The whole decorum thing is really, really is baffling me, you know. Because I just think the more that we do decorum, the more that they try to work within the means of the law, that the laws that has been put in place to protect this for this moment, the laws that are weak, and the judges, they already had the judges. They got the Supreme Court. They put the judges in place. They put their as many Republicans in various places, as many Republican governors, and very, very many, you know, Republican strongholds, you know, and they're trying to work within the means of an unfair ring, a rigged ring. You know, they're working within the, how to say it, within the realm, for lack of better words, because I can't find a word, that has been created by the same people. They were like literally preparing for this moment and putting things in place for this moment, patiently, for this moment, for a very long time. And at the moment, the Democratic leadership is still trying to work within that ring. And when I say ring, I'm thinking more like a boxing ring. I'm trying to figure out how to word it, but that's the best I could come up with. I'm thinking about a boxing ring. They're trying to work with, the Democrats trying to work within that, within the laws that are broken, and a judicial system that has already been captured, because it doesn't matter that they put a lot of judges when Biden was appointing judges in place, because it was already an imbalanced court, with a lot of ideologues and a lot of the bad judges in there. But worst of all, the Supreme Court is a captured court, a dangerous court, to be honest. And it doesn't matter that, Biden put a black Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji Brown Jackson. It doesn't matter that he put her there, because she's in the minority. She has no power, And at this time, the dissents, I don't know, they'll be there for historical purposes, but the damage that these people are going to do, that this court is going to do, the destruction and the death and destruction they're going to bring onto people's lives and steal people's futures and their worlds, is sad. It is sad. And, like I said, I was on Blue Sky, and I was taking in the information, and it was horrible. All of it is just horrible. But I have gum in my mouth. But now I'm outside, and it's about to be spring. In about some amount of days. Tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. Oh, I forgot to say when I was recording. I'm recording on March 16th, 2025. These are basically like journals, capturing this moment in time, letting people into my world and my perspective during this time. And yeah, just sharing my thoughts, sharing my perspective and my opinion on what's going on in the world right now, from the aspect of all the things that I told you that I was at the beginning of this video. From that perspective, I am. But it is, at the moment, what's going on is awful. But like I said, I'm outside. I am blessed, have been always blessed. I felt like, for me personally, I felt always protected, always loved, always taken care of. I just like everybody else, I've experienced difficulties and challenges in my life. I've even lost a child, I've experienced grief. I've experienced the same kinds of pains and difficulties like everybody else. Financial struggles, power getting cut off, all kind of things. miscarriage, C-section. Like, I've experienced challenges. I have experienced pain, and my 2024 was no walk in the park. It was difficult for me personally, but my 2025 for me personally has not. My finances have been beautiful, and I can't tell you why. I just feel covered and taken care of, and the image that I have in my head is like in the story with the plagues, you know, in Egypt, when Moses had to get the people out of Egypt, and he was fighting to get these people out of slavery and out of Egypt. And in order to do that, they had some bad things that had to happen, plagues and bad stuff, bad death, and all kinds of bad things that had to happen because they were, the Pharaoh was stubborn as hell. He didn't want to give up his slaves, obviously, and he didn't want to be told what to do, especially by Moses, especially on behalf of some God he don't know, So he was not having it. So they had to experience some bad stuff. But the people were protected. The people that, that God has sent Moses for to bring them out of Egypt, they were protected with the painting the lamb's blood over the doorposts. And so it feels like that to me. It feels like that. It feels like I'm protected for some reason. My family's protected. Honestly, if not for going on Blue Sky and reading up and being aware of what is going on and following certain people and knowing what is happening, like I said in the beginning of this video, I talk about Cliff Cash comedy. Now come to think of it, I don't even remember if I finished that point. But I talk about Cliff Cash comedy, and that this weekend he's out there losing his voice and doing a protest, doing 3 days of protest. There was on the 14th, which was Friday, the Veterans March. Then on yesterday, the 15th, was media, the media march, something, I don't know what to call it, but he was outside of Fox News. And today they're marching, they're doing a protest in front of the Heritage Foundation, the authors of the project 2025. So that's what he's out there doing, and I'm following, and I'm praying on his behalf. Yesterday he posted a video where it sounded like somebody kind of waved a knife around in front of him and he was cussing them out, and there's people in the streets. There's people in the streets. And I'm realizing as I'm talking in this video that I may be starting points and not really finishing them, finishing them at the same time. But hopefully, when I check this video later to try to edit it, it will still come off naturally. But as I was saying, it feels like I'm protected and my family's protected. And it feels like also, based on the fact that my audience isn't growing big and quickly, and it's growing slowly, and also my urges to talk about things don't really be in the realm of talking about things that are happening right now in a way in which I feel like is my responsibility to educate people, or where I feel is my responsibility to inform people of where to go and what to do. I don't feel that. I honestly don't feel that urge. I felt that before we got here. But no, to me, it feels like we're exactly where I didn't want us to go, where I knew we were heading. I can't believe that we're here. I can't believe that these pathetic human beings, that when I see them, all I see is pathetic men, insecure, pathetic men trying to seem badass and alpha, and basically putting on a performance, marketing storyline of people, putting us in some sort of like movie, some sort of simulation, I guess, some sort of like matrix, you know, trying to blind us to the truth, trying to make us believe in a reality that isn't really reality. All I see is just pathetic, insecure, stupid men. And not only, and stupid men that are just trying to copy, they're trying to undo everything that has happened, you know, erase people, erase the accomplishments of everybody else that are not white people, of, you know, they're trying to go back to the 1930s and the 1940s, which is the most ridiculous time in humanity, you know, which was humanity at its worst. They're trying to copy Hitler and all those kind of people, and without remembering that if you're trying to copy history, you think that you're so special that it can end differently for you. Hitler shot himself in a bunker, hiding out, and before that he was hiding out for a very long time, paranoid and scared, you know, still trying to be badass but failing and losing. And Mussolini was, if I remember correctly, because I watched some documentaries over the summer last year. He was hanged or something. He was killed by the people, basically, you know. And it didn't end well for these people. And why? For some reason, I think that if they're gonna copy the entire playbook, they can end better this time. They take us of this generation for granted, because one of the things that they don't even realize about us of this generation is that our mindsets too are not the same. We don't think ourselves small. And that was the whole purpose of this video anyway, is that I don't see myself as small or weak. You know, I see myself as a powerful human being. But what I think is that maybe I didn't teach myself, I didn't train my body to be fit. I'm working on it now. It's going to take some time, but I'm working on it. I didn't train my body to build muscle, so I don't have the physical strength. But I know that I'm powerful, because I know that my mind and my heart, my soul, my light is powerful, you know. And when I make these videos, I always repeat a lot of the same things, because those are the things that bear repeating. You know, let your light shine is not a cliche kind of woo-woo, kind of mushy-dushy, I don't know, whatever people would say, lovey-dovey kind of happy words kind of thing that doesn't matter, that isn't a powerful thing. Let your light shine is one of the most powerful things that you could ever advise somebody to do. And in order for you to let your light shine, you gotta love yourself. And I realize that I am fucking loving myself. Sorry that I had to bring in the bad word. I don't know where it comes from. But I'm loving myself so much more than I've ever loved myself in my entire life. I love myself so much. You know, it is like, you know, it's kind of like ego, the better side of ego. Because it's not ego, it's just self-love. It is confidence. It is knowing my worth, knowing that I am here for a reason, and I don't even have to be any kind of anything for to be worth anything, you know, to be worth something. I don't have to be the most successful person. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I'm just here. I'm here. My breath is important. My body, my physical presence, my being, just everything that makes me me. To be a human is not an easy thing. It, I, while I'm here talking to you, my heart is pumping. So I'm constantly working. There's things inside of my body that is doing work all the time. You know, my mind and my brain is working. My everything that makes me me is constantly doing the work to make me work, to make me function and be me, you know. And that is not an easy feat. That is not something simple. That is not something that doesn't matter. That matters, you know? And just being alive matters. And what I'm trying to do, not trying to do, what I've started to do more and more is to see that as a gift in itself. And everything else is a bonus. You know, my personality, the reason I like to share my personality and tell you who I am all the time is because I love who I am. I love who I am. And I feel as though when I just say it, I am making myself known and seen. I am taking up space, you know. And even if people that are watching don't like it, well, according to like what Cliff Cash would say, they could fuck off then, you know. You can fuck off if you don't like the way how I talk, if you don't like the way how I live, if you don't like how I share and how I you know, make myself known, how I am present, then you can fuck off, you know. And I tend to post most of the things that I record, even if I have self-doubt, even if I'm like thinking, oh, is it too long, did I ramble, did I do this, you know what, I tend to post it anyway, because if somebody's gonna challenge me, somebody's gonna say, oh, you talk too long, or that video's too long, or whatever, then it gives me an opportunity to put my self-love to the test. You know, it gives me an opportunity to figure out how I can respond to that person with kindness, with defiance, or will they trigger me, and how fast am I going to come out of that trigger? You know, it gives me an opportunity to put my self-doubts and my concerns and worrying about how people receive me to the test. So that's why I tend to post almost everything that I take the time to record. And I barely edit it. I mentioned that in the video before, but you might not have seen that video. But I barely edit. I edit a little bit. And I put myself out there. Because this channel at the moment, I mean, someday I might have a channel that got a different purpose. But this channel at the moment is about how does this woman, how does this 42-year-old millennial mom of 5, this everything that I am, this intuitive, this energy reader, this light worker, how does she let her light shine? How does she love herself? How does she let her light shine? How does she help when she doesn't have a big audience, you know? And I don't have a bullhorn and I can't reach many people. So how do I navigate this time? Well, I can tell you one of the things I'm doing. I'm anchoring the light. I'm taking in the nature right now. It's foggy also, and it's wet. And this is my first outside video in months because it's been winter. But I'm anchoring the light. I'm anchoring the light. So anyway, I am going to go do. I can see one of my kids. Hold on. Yeah, I just went to say good morning to my kids. So anyway, I felt the urge to record. You know, I am going to be doing a bunch of recording today because I got a lot to say. And it will be for documentation purposes. It will not come out around the time that... It won't come out like current, you know, because I got to edit and all that kind of stuff. And I also have older things that I recorded that I got to edit and post. So these are just journals. These are just journals where I share my perspective because it's always going to be relevant. You know, we are processing what is going on to the best of our ability, but I don't even know how we could process what's going on because it just really is a very simple thing. It may seem complicated, but it's simple. What they're trying to do is to destroy and to kill people and to rewrite history and to go back in time. Like that, literally, the man keeping his promise. His promise was a spiritual promise. You know, people thought, okay, those are just campaign slogans, right? But he is keeping his promise, and he told everybody what he was going to do. And also, what he's doing now is just a continuation of what he started to do. And if he had had a second term, it would have been what he was going to do, you know. But this time he's doing it with a kind of like a fury and desperation and vengeance, because y'all put him through some shit in between his quests and his determination. You know, you try to hold him responsible and accountable for his actions and his illegal bullshit. You know, you forced him to leave the office that he was never planning to leave. You know, we managed to get him out, and somehow he managed to get himself back in. But this time he get himself back in as a puppet, you know, as a prisoner of a billionaire. You know, he as a property, I should say, as a property of a billionaire. So he has strings. You know, he has strings. And he's not a free man. And y'all gotta remember that. You gotta look at him as a sad, pathetic person that is trapped by his own karma. He's in his own karmic trap, you know. And I really do think that we could get through this if we stick together. You know, I really do think that we could get through this if we stop buying into all the, I mean, it is really happening, yes, but it is happening to create the energy of fear, because the energy of fear is what they devour, and they devour it to empower them. It's like Popeye the Sailor Man is like spinach to Popeye. It is their food. Our fear is their food. And come on, this is the kind of stuff here. See this? This is one of the ways in which we can reject fear. Mother Nature, Mother Earth. Oh my God, she's a nurturer, and she's a nurturer and a loving mother. And you just gotta allow her to embrace you. You might not be as privileged or blessed as I am to be living somewhere where you could step out of your backyard and look like this, but trust me, this exists somewhere. This exists somewhere in your world. You know, it's the park. It's the pond that is nearby. It's the lake that's nearby. This exists somewhere, you know. I am blessed enough to have it in my backyard because the universe loves me. God loves me. The higher power loves me. The divine loves me. Source, spirit, whatever the I am loves me. Because it knows I'm an introvert, and I needed to have this in my backyard, you know. I needed this to be my backyard. I yearned for it, I asked for it. It was a request, you know. So I seeked it out because it's what I wanted. It's what I asked for, you know. If that's what you want, then you ask for it. But in the meanwhile, trust me, I lived in the city. I lived in an urban community where I hated it. I didn't know how much I hated it until I moved out of it. But it was noisy, and there were, you know, people walking the streets, and loud people walking the streets, and the sirens and all the noise, you know. And there wasn't no backyard. The backyard was concrete. It was a driveway, you know. But we found parks. We found places to go. I didn't like it. I would prefer it to be my own backyard, as to be honest. But in the meanwhile, we found places to go. We found little escapes. And I even found little escapes in the place that I live. I found myself little escape places, little corners of the world to process and to you know, to just to escape, I guess, to feel safe and home and loved and dream. So there's no excuse, because it exists somewhere. It exists somewhere. So anyway, the video is getting long. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that people really start to be put up with me. I hope that my people find me. The ones that will understand that, okay, it might take us some time. It might take some time to listen to my ramblings that are not ramblings, but listen to my little conversations, you know. But I feel personally that it is worth it. Some videos may be more worth it than others, but in my opinion, I do feel that there's a gem always to be found. A few gems always to be found in all my videos. You know, some days I'm in better moods than others, but there's always gems to be found in all my videos. So okay, let's just wrap up. Let your light shine. Go out in nature. Love yourself. Love yourself in the most in the light side of vanity. The other side of the coin. There's vanity and there's self-absorbed, being self-absorbed and egocentric and all that. But then there's self-love. Do the self-love thing. Love yourself. Love yourself so much that it doesn't matter if anybody else love you, because you will always be wholly, fully loved. And also you are wholly, fully loved by, the I am, the divine, the source, whatever we're going to call the higher power. You are also loved by Mother Earth. Free, 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 free love. So self-love, love from Mother Earth, love from the higher power, and then you're good. All the rest of the love that comes, that's just bonus love. That's just bubbling over love. And when you get that much love, you could pour that love and that cup into other people. Because first of all, you fill your cup with these first three loves that I just talked about. And then the rest of the love that comes, love from your family and your friends and your loved ones and all the people that love you, that's just bubbling over love. And that bubbling over love is enough that you could share, Don't feed them your fear, because that's what gives them strength. And I'm just going to say that you just have a lovely, lovely, lovely day. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. I got some recordings to do. I'm going to do some exercising, and then I can do some recording today. And I can tell you that as scary as it is, as scary as it seems, honestly, it can be all right, And if you want it to be all right for as much people as possible, then you be a helper. If you get as much people to get back to community and be a helper, that's one way. We raise funds for people that need funds. You go help your neighbor. You go help the old lady that lives next door, or the old man that lives next door. You put some love out into the world. You put some love out in the world. Start expecting the government to do it, because that's the lesson of this moment. People got to determine what a government is. So when this is over, the world rebuilds, people have to determine what a government should be and what it is. Where government has input and does things and has input on your lives and affects your life, and where you take control of your own life. So you gotta find that balance and that harmony. And I'm gonna end this video here and just say I love you, I love you, I love me, and I love you, and I love us. I love the collective, and we will be okay. Thank you for watching.